Welcome everybody to episode 4 of the Trevor Airdrie Show. I am your host, Trevor Airdrie. After a 1-week layoff, I am back and ready to go, and without anything further, on to the action. The Rundown, sponsored by Combination Sports, your one-stop shop for MMA and boxing gear and apparel. They're located at 506 King Street West in Kitchener, Ontario. If you can't go to Kitchener, Ontario, no fear. Go to www.combosports.com and they have great deals on there. So this coming weekend we have UFC on FX8. It's been a card that's been hampered by injury. We have Manvel Gambaryan off the card, Marcos Vinicius off the card, Cesar Ferreira off the card, CB Dollaway's out, Consta Philippou dropped off, and Lance Benoist. All of those guys dropping off the card. But now on to what we do have, and it's headlined by what I think is a great fight. Vitor Belfort versus Luke Rockhold. It's been a very big media train going into this fight with Vitor Belfort on the TRT therapy, which is very controversial, and I'll get into that more later on in the show. And then we have Luke Rockhold, who's coming over from Strikeforce, who was the middleweight champion over there. So it's a good fight. It's a good title elimination fight for Anderson Silva's middleweight title right now. I have Luke Rockhold winning this fight by decision. If Belfort has a chance, it's going to be early in the fight. He's going to either knock him out or submit him in the first round. If it goes longer than a round, I'm going to say that Luke Rockhold is going to win his UFC debut. The co-main event of the night is Jacare Souza versus Chris Camozzi. I was really looking forward to this fight when it was Consta Philippou versus Jacare, but Camozzi is on the upswing, so it is going to be a decent co-main event. This card is Brazil loaded with fighters due to the fact it is in Brazil, so it's going to be, a very big coming out party for a lot of the Brazilian fighters. I have Jacare winning the fight via knockout. It's probably going to be a pretty quick fight, but I can't see Camozzi winning. But if he does win, good on him. He is on a tear right now, so good on him if he can pull out the victory there. Also on that card, Rafael dos Anjos versus Evan Dunham. I haven't been too impressed with Evan Dunham since the whole TJ Grant fight. That was a hell of a tilt. If you want a good fight to watch, you're bored late at night, watch the Evan Dunham TJ Grant fight. Great fight. I do have Dunham, however, coming out of, not really a slump, just back up to the level he was before the TJ Grant fight. I have him winning by decision. Then we have, starting off the night of the main card, we have Rafael Natal versus João Zeferino. And I do apologize if I'm butchering any names. I am a good old Canadian boy, so it's tough to say some of these Brazilian names. I have Natal winning via submission. The preliminary bouts on Fuel TV, or I would imagine Sportsnet in Canada, it's a decent card, but once again, very heavily Brazil loaded. We have Hakron Diaz versus Nick Lentz. That's the main fight on the undercard. I have Lentz winning via TKO. We have Francisco Trinaldo over Mike Rio. I'm taking Trinaldo via submission. I'm just going to go through these ones quickly. Gleison Tibau, I have him over John Cholish. I have Yuri Alcantara over an unnamed opponent. I actually still have his old opponent of Marco Vinicius on my computer screen here. I do apologize about that. And then good old Canadian boy Roger Holay, I have him over Fabio Maldonado. I'm going to say Holay is going to win the KO of the night here. I just have some faith, a little bit biased as, a Canadian fighting on the card. I do always cheer for the Canadians to win. And then starting off the televised preliminaries is Paulo Thiago versus Richard Dos Prazeres, and I'm going to take Paulo Tiago to win that via decision. The Facebook fights, John Lineker is fighting Azamat Gashimov. I'm going to take John Lineker there. Husier Farmiga versus Chris Carrizo. I'm going to take Carrizo via decision. And starting out the night, we have Lucas Martin versus Jeremy Larsons. I'm going to take Martin via TKO. So the Facebook fights start at 4:35 Eastern Time. The preliminary bouts start at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And the main card on FX starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So, we haven't had fights in a few weeks after that 4 weeks in a row that we had a fight. So it's going to be, at least it's going to be fights, and they're free fights this weekend. And the main event should, blow the roof off the place. And on a side note, announced last night on UFC Tonight, the UFC is returning to Toronto, Ontario in the ACC on Saturday, September 21st for UFC 165. So it's some good news for Canadian UFC fans that they're coming back to town. They're bringing, the whole circus. And hopefully it's headlined by a pretty decent fight, which, Dana White and the UFC boys usually load Toronto up because it is such a hotbed MMA market. So on to the next segment. We have Outside the Cage. It's sponsored by M&A Sports Media. Big news is coming. Are you ready, Canada? Go to www.mnasportsmedia.com for more information and dates of upcoming events. Like I said, big news is coming. It's going to be big. So Outside the Cage is always where we do the events coming up in the area. First and foremost, we have Frankie Edgar coming to Molly Bloom's in Kitchener, Ontario. It's located at 10 Manitou Drive in Kitchener. Tickets are $25 in advance, $30 at the door. It's a great establishment. Wait staff is great. Management is great. I was there for the Tito Ortiz signing and meet and greet. Just can't say enough about the people at Molly Bloom's. They're just incredible people. And if you want any more information about that, you can go to mnasportsmedia.com or you can call Molly Bloom's at 519-894-4445. Tickets are $25 in advance, $30 at the door. It is an inner circle agency event, so JT and Paul Bernier, they always bring a party. It's a party on wheels. So definitely come out, check it out, meet the former UFC lightweight champion of the world, Frankie Edgar. Get your swag signed and meet the former champion. And there's only one way you're going to build the MMA community, and that's by supporting local MMA. Also, coming up, charity near and dear to my heart. It's the second annual Sean Tompkins Memorial Golf Tournament. It's going to be held at Fire Rock Golf Club in Kamoka, Ontario. The proceeds go to benefit the Sean Tompkins Memorial Fund and the St. Leonard's Society of London. And for registration, you can go to Adrenaline Training Center. You can message myself on Facebook, on Twitter. I will shoot you in the right direction. It's a great charity. Mark Hominick's going to be there. Sam Stout's going to be there. Chris Clements is going to be there. Showdown Joe Ferraro from Sportsnet's going to be there. It's just going to be an outstanding day. They have tons of prizes to raffle off for a good cause. And, Sean Tompkins, he made MMA famous in Canada by training nothing but the best. Hominick, Stout, Hordeski, Clements, Jesse Gross, who just won his fight against Tristan Johnson. He's trained Vitor Belfort, who's fighting in the main event this weekend. He's Bas Rutten, who, my little bobblehead right here. He's trained the best. So definitely go out, support Sean's family, support the good cause. And it's going to be a great day of golf and fun. And, you get to just hang out with the MMA community. So definitely check that out. So that's it for Outside the Cage. And now on to Trevor's Corner, sponsored by Fear the Fighter Training Academy. you want to be the best, train with the best, come down to 512 Charles Street East in Kitchener, Ontario, and sign up with Chad and Kyle today. These guys, they know their stuff. They train Muay Thai, wrestling, boxing. They do a little bit of kickboxing. They do a little bit of everything. You name it, they train it. So go to fearthefightertrainingacademy.com for more information. And let me tell you, it's the best gym. There's a lot of great gyms out there, but I'll give my personal endorsement to that gym because they're incredible people over there. So for the topic of Trevor's Corner this week, there's been a lot in the media about, drugs and TRT. You have Pat Bam Bam Healy just being suspended for 90 days, I believe, for testing positive for marijuana. You have Luke Rockhold calling out Vitor Belfort for the TRT. And if you look at the transformation from the Anderson Silva fight to now, I'm not sure. That doesn't look exactly normal. I'm usually a guy that stays pretty far away from controversial media, but when a guy in his mid to late 30s starts jacking up and he looks like he has the muscle mass of like a 20-year-old, something's got to be said. You have the whole Chael Sonnen debate of him on TRT. You have Vitor Belfort on TRT. Like these guys that they're 30 years old and they're getting stronger, faster, and more muscular. It's time to you got to you have to make a boundary. There has to be a boundary where if you step over the line, it's a suspension. If you step over the line, something people have to be held accountable for. And regarding the marijuana suspension of Pat Healy, it's not an enhancement. I will not say it's an enhancement. It could weaken the pain or whatever. I don't know. Don't do it. So I can't give you a first-hand opinion on the matter. But after you see Matt Riddle be suspended for marijuana and then subsequently fired for marijuana, you have Thiago Silva test positive for marijuana. You have Nick Diaz test positive for marijuana. They're testing for it, so why are you doing it? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you want to go out and have a good time, that's fine. But if you have a fight coming up, word to the wise, don't do it. That mistake, that one puff of marijuana smoke or however much Pat Healy did just cost him $135,000 in bonuses. And not to mention a 90-day suspension. And I would not be surprised if the fight against Jim Miller, which was a great war, is turned into a no contest. So he just lost momentum. He lost respect. I'll still respect Pat Healy. I think he's a great fighter still. But he lost respect in the MMA world. And in the rankings, that definitely drops him off. Look at what it did to Matt Mitrione when he got suspended for other issues. It drops you off. Like, even though you're on the momentum train, that train can stop really quickly. So I just don't understand why these people these fighters are testing the boundaries when that all these guys in the near past have all been suspended or fired or whatnot. So I don't know. I'm firmly against drugs in MMA. If you're gonna fight, fight. If you're going to party, party. If you're going to try to do both, just do it in moderation. Don't a week before the fight or whatnot decide, hey, I'm gonna go out and party. It's going to show up on your drug test. So I still respect guys like Matt Riddle. I still respect guys like Pat Healy. As a fight fan and all that stuff, I'm still firmly behind them, but I do understand the Fight Commission and the UFC's stance on finding these guys, suspending these guys, because you got to clean up the sport. Because with the exception of the MMA community, everybody just thinks this is caged human fighting, like, you know, that these guys don't wear gloves still, and that these guys are, you know, crazy and stuff like that. I've had some really educated conversations with guys in the MMA world, and actually they're quite smart. I like to say I can call a few of them my friends, and I will always stand firmly behind any fighter, but come on, guys, you gotta clean up a little bit. That's all I gotta say. So that's all the time I have for the day. Special thanks to my sponsors, Fear the Fighter Training Academy, Combination Sports, M&A Sports Media, and of course, MMAJam.ca, because without all of you guys, the sponsors, MMAJam.ca, Adam, Andrew, Steffi, all the crew over at MMA Jam, show can't be possible. So tune in next Wednesday for episode 5. And until next time, dream it, believe it, achieve it. I'm Trevor Airdrie, signing off.